Hello, my next poetry reading, or I should say, actually has much more involved than that. I'm calling this Life or Death, a daily decision, and you'll see as I go along. Starting at the age of 16, I started writing poems that wasn't allowed, or didn't feel allowed, to express my emotions or feelings growing up, and as a result, it led to many addictions and problems, and life being on the edge. So I will start with my notes, and then explain as I go along. I was never supposed to live beyond the age of 12, according to the doctors growing up. I never actually know what it feels like to be actually healthy. Yet I find myself 50 years later wondering how I made it this far. Thankfully, my dad joined the military because they're far from being wealthy. Been in and out of hospitals so often that the bills could reach out into the sky. I'm a survivor, and the years keep flying on by. Have kissed the angel of death so often, so many times. In some ways, we'll become nearly friends. The poem I'm about to read, I wrote in 1978. It's never going to be in the book. I had read in a newspaper article a young man who was contemplating suicide, and that was the inspiration for this one. It was my life from 53 to 78, and I was seriously contemplating leaving this planet. The differences between 78 and now is, back then I was an acute alcoholic, but I was having fun, or I thought I was, drinking about a quart a day, but I was also hanging out in the discos, and I was with people more often than alone, like I am now. I was working, I was a functioning alcoholic, until I crossed the line. You never know what life's going to throw at you, but once I read this, you'll see that I'm a living miracle, and I'm still here for a purpose, and so are you. Fun and friends and social life is an extreme rarity right now, but it is what it is. So now I'll go read my poem from 78, which is not going to be in the book, but it will also explain some things about the first 25 years of my life. Here it goes. Life history and poetry poem. Oh yes, as a little boy, I did play and have fun with the world's toys. But as I grew older, it wasn't as fun anymore. The world became more complicated, and on it was getting harder to sort. I remember times as a small boy that would get tucked into bed. But I also remember crying so much I couldn't breathe, and my face would literally be turning red. In the mid-60s, as we all know, there was a war in Vietnam. It seemed to be a game by the world's politicians and Uncle Sam. We managed to have thousands of men's lives wasted because of the war. Everyone who liked or supposed this has to be a bit crazy. Would be nicer than everyone killing himself is to lie in bed and be lazy. Maybe then they would find out that peace is truly about. I remember in '69 they said that Paul McCartney had died. All I could do was cry. I was glad to find out after a few days that was all a bad lie. The Beatles had broken up, and I knew it could never be again, and I'd been a fan since '63. I didn't think I could go on without the old song, so I started following the individuals and found out that I was wrong. Without the Beatles, I could go on. In June 1970, my life walk with the Lord was the start. I had total faith and trust in Christ since I had given Him my heart. There were times I was so high, I thought I could sprout wings and fly. And what was really funny was for the first time, I wasn't afraid to die. On Christmas Eve, 1970, I found out Santa was a lie. Because all I could do all night was stay awake and cry. For some unknown reason that night, my cat was run over and he died. In July 71, I wrote the first poem in my life. I've written 278 since. It was about the Lord being real in my life, and I knew it was very true. I knew then that he was always around me. I didn't have to be blue. In 72, I was arrested, and there was anything but a ball. I prayed for mercy from the Lord and the law. I thank God I got 3, and I withstood the test. I also wrote a poem called Trials, which is the way it's been most of my life. But I was still thanking God for all my tests and trials. Even though they seemed, or it seemed, I had already come over 1,000,000 miles. In May 73, I wrote my first poem intended for a song. It was called This Earth Is Not My Home, because I realized we're not here to stay, but thankfully we're just passing through. The first 2 verses read, This earth is not my home, I'm just passing through. This earth isn't my home, praise God, hallelujah. In 74, things really began to get shaky. But still, I could write a poem called Yet Will I Trust Thee. It didn't matter how deep or dark the tunnel got, from the light of Jesus I could still somehow manage to see. Yet in August 74, everything had seemed to fall apart. After 1.5 years, I quit the Bible school that I was attending. At times, the place seemed filled with quite a few fools. They seemed to be pumping me and others with lies. How I could have gotten drawn into it, I may never know. Sometimes the thought of this place makes me cry. The coincidence is that it was the same day, same time Nixon quit the office of president because of Watergate. I know exactly what it felt like. To have everything against you and the whole world to fall apart. So I took a bus to Los Angeles for a new start. I thought about jumping off a 200-foot cliff. I was going to end this here long and winding ride. An angel picked me up and talked me out of it, and I've quite often wondered why. In the beginning of 75, I was really wondering why I had to stay alive. But toward the middle of the year, I thought I figured it out. So I wrote, Why Was I Born? It was about serving the Lord or my higher power, and that was the reason. It was about me serving the Lord, and that, you see, me and God had gotten back in gear in that year. Toward the end of the year, I went traveling around trying to set up a ministry again. I kept thinking that somehow it would work out since I've been trying since 73. Again, everything just fell apart. So I just gave up about a new start. November of 75, I wrote, I remember when. It was like going back to when I was a little boy. I wish it now, even more, than I did then. The first few lines of the long poem went like this. I remember when I was a little lad, my life was filled with joy, and my heart was really glad. I remember once that I was a teeny bopper, but I am no more. Boy, it sure seems at times that life really soars. You can get the main drift of the way it was, but being a boy was thin, and I know it can never be again. 2 years later, in January 77, I wrote, Why Must Life Go On? I was even doubting if there was a heaven, and if there was a God out there anywhere. Truly, I was wondering if there was someone, anyone, anywhere that really cared. Still do today. Some of the main lines read like below. It was written on an upsetting night. Why must this life go on with so many problems and trials? It seems like I've already traveled over 1,000,000 miles. I'm putting my faith and trust in Thee, but at times it seems to be hanging from a tree. Oh God, I can't take it anymore. What I would like to do is sprout wings and soar. In April 77, I wrote, "Am I worth it is still the way I feel in 78 to a point now." It's quite unfortunate how things haven't changed in a year. What does life rate? Am I worth anything at all? Or am I just taking up room in this big old ball? And this month of this year, I wrote more poems than any time in my life. It's April 77. I wrote 2 on the Beatles. It was on how they still meant so much to society and to me. Their ideas and music has still set me free. Toward the last part of 77 and began of 78, I was not only into the Beatles scene, but I was in the disco scene as well. I wrote, intended for a song someday called "Keep the Beat A-Comin'." The last 2 lines of the song went, "Keep the beat a-comin', it really turns me on. Keep the beat on coming onto us, so life won't be such a fuss." On April 16, 77, I again was thinking of ending this ride by suicide. But someone talked me out of it, and I wrote, "Don't give up." It was written for me and to those who feel they can't go on even 1 more mile or 1 more day. It was for those who felt like throwing in the towel. Don't give up on life, even though it may be filled with strife. Don't give up when you feel rejected from every side. Don't go and commit suicide. The following day, I wrote one of the greatest poems that was written and published in the school newspaper. It was about me. It was about what we do from the moment we're born until the day we die. It's called searching, which is what we all do. Searching for reality, searching for truth. We're all searching for ourselves. Some are searching for our youth. In May 77, I wrote "Love" with a question mark. That's what the anxiety was about at the time. What's love? I truly don't know. Is it possible that it, through a human, can be shown? Life without love can truly be a low. In June 77, I wrote a thing called High School. It had been exactly 5 years and 1 week since I had gotten out. But the poem was about wanting to go back in because things seemed easier back then. I looked around, and it just seems that I'm just going around in circles. It seems that I really haven't progressed in the past 5 years, and it brings me down. 7 days later, I wrote another negative poem called "What's the Use?" What's the use of going on when life isn't filled with a song? What's the use of going on when people are so cruel? Why can't people just follow the golden rule? A week later, I kind of got into a positive mood for a couple of days. I was remembering how 1 year ago that I saw Paul McCartney and his band at play. It was one of the greatest and happiest days of my life. For the Beatles, I would do anything to see them, especially today. I wrote, "You know the Beatles and Wings are the best of all time, and you know that it isn't a crime. To see any one of them, I spend my last dime. I can't do it now." In November 77, I wrote, "Why must everyone cry?" To summarize it best about our lives, I would have to write down. You know, everyone hurts and has to cry, and it's been this way since the beginning of life, because it's filled with so much strife. The baby cries because of rejection and pain. The young person cries when they first have to go to high school and leave their home security. Then there are the teenagers, the adolescent age. You know, life is changing in the knowledge age. The adult cries because of lack of money or the loss of someone. The old person cries because they feel forgotten and broke. Wouldn't it be nice to go to a place where you don't have to cry or have pain anymore? It'd be cool just to be free and let our heads soar. One of my first poems I wrote in 78 was in a park, and I called it "The Playground." I was comparing life to the equipment, and especially the swing set. Life is like a swing set. When you're on it, it goes up and down. Some people have problems getting that swing to get up and fly, but we must keep on trying or give up and die. To Go Back is one of the latest poems I've written. Oh God, I just wish at times I could go back about 10 years or so. Yeah. Just close the curtain and start over the play. If it could be done over, maybe things would be different today. My last poem earlier this month is called Lonely Boy. The only worse than a lonely old man is a lonely boy. He's supposed to be at the prime of his life, but is filled with so much loneliness and strife. It seems to him that no one seems to care if he's dead or alive. So he with his loneliness and emptiness must continue to strive. The poem goes on, but the poem is me, you see. All I ever wanted is someone to care for me and be free. In case you haven't noticed, we seem to live in a dog-eat-dog world. And you know that it can't be right. Why can't people get what they want? Why can't people get along without having to fight? In 77 and 78, there were very few kisses and smiles around. I feel totally alone and rejected. So how can life go on? I was and still am just wondering when. Of all the people you'd think would care, you'd think it'd be society bureaucrats, but it seems they think it's a crime to hand over one lousy dime. I applied and was turned down for all financial and other assistance, so no one wants to help. So I really have no other choices. I have to end this here game called life myself. I'm in my mid-20s and just can't take life anymore. So on it, I'm closing the door. I'm going to go into my room and never plan to come out. Because it's in my mouth, I just dropped 50 poison pills, and you know it makes a good spell. Goodbye, cruel and mixed up world. And that was written in 78, and no, I'm not going to be there. I could end it there at the negative point in 78, but I won't. Let me cover a couple of things and end this on a positive note. Ow. Things have hardly been straight and narrow over the years. I've had to throw away many of dreams. Now I find myself for the past 3 years in a very confusing, overwhelming maze, hoping the next turn will finally be the way out. On my journey of what seems to be many lifetimes, feelings and emotions weren't something that was really allowed. Yet dealing with all the deaths, the setbacks and pain, I've allowed them to go ahead and happen, so I don't totally lose it. In January 88, the second time I was homeless, I wrote a poem, I wrote a letter to God, and read part of it here, but it's appropriate for now. Hello God, my higher power. This is your child. I'm writing this to you because I seem to be able to write things down easier than to say them. Please don't let me out of your arms. I wish I could stay on your lap forever. Your words state that you'll never leave or forsake us. Be honest at times, I feel like you're miles away. Lord, I want to be honest with you. On the outside, I seem to always be happy and smiling most of the time. While inside, I'm hurting, crying, and in despair. I sometimes wonder how much longer I can continue down this long and winding road. After all these years, I'm still trying to find a way to have a real life without the drugs and alcohol. I got 20 years sober, by the way. It gets oh so lonely down here at times. It's still hard to face or deal with the pain. But I know you are the one that's keeping me sober and alive. I have a hard time believing that you have everything in this world under control, especially when I look around the world around me and I see the way society is trying to live. Today I am walking on faith and not by my senses. That would only get me into trouble. Thanks for listening and caring. I praise you, Father, for being there for me, even though when I don't deserve it. In closing, the topic is life or death, a daily decision. I have tried a few times to leave this world, but God has protected me, and I'm still here. So I know somehow that God still has a purpose for me, even though I'm not 100% sure what that is. The same goes for everyone watching this. He is not finished with you yet, and He can and will get you through the next plateau. It is not too late, so keep on fighting. Even if you have to get extremely angry, like I am, get angry enough to keep on fighting and hanging on. Life is too precious to end it by doing something as stupid as suicide. You don't have to go on the statistics, which is one every minute, for one attempt. You are a winner, and I am saying that to myself and everyone else. God can and will do for us what we cannot do for ourselves. If you are considering it at the moment, go find yourself a person, or online or in person, to talk to. You can make it through. I am living proof. I'm still here for a purpose, and so are you. So just take the smallest step and keep on going down the plateau. Be grateful for the good times and pray for God's peace in your friends. Okay, I hope this makes sense. You can learn a little bit more about me. Okay, take care. Bye. This is May the 15th, 2016. Bye.